Good morning, children. Welcome back to the online class of biology. How are you all? Do you enjoy the online class? Today we will discuss about the next chapter, transpiration. Here are the points that we are going to discuss. The process and significance of transpiration, experiments of transpiration, measurement of transpiration, limitations in the use of pottometer, different kinds of transpiration. Let us see one by one in detail. In the previous chapter, you learned that the roots of the plant continuously absorb water from the soil. This water is conducted upwards through the stem and is distributed to all the aerial parts, including the leaves. Only a small quantity of the absorbed water is used by the plant. That is, about 2% of the absorbed water is used by the plant in photosynthesis and other activities. Then what happens to the remaining water? The rest of it is almost lost to the atmosphere as water vapor. So loss of water from the leaf surface in the form of water vapor is called transpiration. So let us define transpiration. Transpiration is the process of loss of water in the form of water vapor from the leaves and the aerial parts of the plant. Here is an activity to demonstrate transpiration. Take a medium-sized well-watered potted plant. Cover the plant with a transparent polythene bag and tie its mouth around the base of the stem. Leave the plant in sunlight for an hour or two. When we observe the plant, we can see that tiny droplets of water appear on the inner side of the polythene bag due to the saturation of the water vapor given out by the leaves. If we arrange a control setup for this experimental setup, that is an empty polythene bag, cover the mouth of it and keep it in the sunlight. Then after a few minutes, when we observe, we cannot see any water vapor inside. That means there is no leaf of the plant, so there is no water vapor. So in the experimental setup, we can make sure that the water vapor present inside the polythene bag came from the leaves of the potted plant. Here is another experimental setup to demonstrate transpiration. Setup A. Take a small well-watered potted plant, preferably one with broad leaves. Enclose the pot completely within a polythene bag and tie the mouth of the bag firmly around the base of the stem. This would prevent the escape of water from the pot. Now cover the entire plant under a bell jar, as seen in the figure. Then second one, arrange another similar plant and cover it with a bell jar exactly in the same manner as the first one, except that here you can keep a dry cobalt chloride paper by the side of the plant inside the bell jar. The paper may be pinned to a wooden stick or to a strip of cork sheet. Then in setup C, take a third bell jar without the plant but still containing a similar piece of cobalt chloride paper. This setup is a control setup. Now keep all the three bell jars together in the sun. Observe the setup after half an hour. What can be observed? In setup A, water condenses on the inner wall of the bell jar. And in setup B, the bell jar is also shows a similar condensation of water vapor, and at the same time the cobalt chloride paper, which is initially blue, turns pink. And in setup C, in this bell jar, neither water droplets are found nor does the cobalt chloride paper turn pink. Condensation of water vapor occurs on the inner walls of the bell jar in setup A and B. Change in the color of cobalt chloride paper proves that plants give off water vapor during transpiration. Why do we use the cobalt chloride paper here? The cobalt chloride paper is used as an indicator of moisture. It turns blue to pink when exposed to the moisture. By taking the three bell jars as described here, there is a double visual proof of transpiration. First one, condensation of water vapor into droplets. And second one, change of color in cobalt chloride paper. You may simplify this experiment either by taking B and C only, or by taking the bell jar A and another empty bell jar without the plant or the paper. Next is the significance of transpiration. Transpiration has a great significance for the plants. Its main advantages are: it gives a cooling effect to the plant. It creates suction force which help in the ascent of sap. It helps in the distribution of water and minerals throughout the plants. Let us see one by one. First one is the cooling effect. Evaporation reduces the temperature of the leaf surface. Therefore, transpiration is useful to the plants on hot sunny days. At intense heat, the enzymes are destroyed. So, it gives a cooling effect to the plant surface. Second advantage is it creates a suction force which helps in the ascent of sap. Transpiration helps in the ascent of sap by producing a suction force acting from the top of the plant. Evaporation of water vapor from the leaves concentrates the cell sap and increases their osmotic pressure. This draws water from the cells at the lower levels in the sequential manner. That means, as transpiration takes place from the leaves, the root can absorb more and more water from the soil, and it can be transported to the upper parts of the plant. Then the third advantage of transpiration in plant is distribution of water and mineral salts. That means, when the leaves give out water vapor from the leaves, more water is transported to all other parts of the plant, and through the water, the mineral salts are distributed all the parts of the plant. Higher the rate of transpiration, greater the rate of absorption and water solutes from the soil. There are number of methods to measure the transpiration. The two main methods are weighing method and potometer method. There are different types of weighing methods to measure transpiration. The first one is, take a small light-weighted potted plant. Cover the soil surface and the pot with a polythene bag. Weigh it before and after the end of a certain period of time. Observe the difference in the weight. We can see that there should be some difference in the weight. The loss in the weight by the plant is due to the loss of water by transpiration. Here is another setup of weighing method. In this, take a glass bottle with a graduated side tube. Fill it with water. Insert a small plant. Observe it after few minutes. Water level in the side tube falls due to the evaporation of water from the leaves. Weigh it before and after certain period of time. The change in the weight indicates the volume of water lost from the plant. Here is another setup to see the amount of water lost during transpiration. In this, take a test tube filled with water. Insert a leafy shoot without roots in it. Add 1 or 2 drops of oil on the surface of the water to prevent the evaporation of water from the test tube. Place the test tube in a small beaker and find the weight of it. Find the weight of the setup after a certain period of time. You can see that there will be some change in the weight. The difference in the weight indicates the loss of water by the shoot due to transpiration. Next is the potometer method. Potometer is a device that measures the rate of water intake by a plant. This intake water is almost equal to the water lost through the transpiration. There are different types of potometers to measure the different aspects of transpiration, such as Gannon's potometer, Farmer's potometer, Garrow's potometer, Darwin's potometer, etc. Here is a Gannon's potometer. It consists of a bent tube. One side of the tube bent upward and one side bent downwards. And in the middle you can see a capillary tube which has graduation. That means it has a reservoir that helps to fill water in the potometer and to do all other adjustment in the potometer. Let us see how it works. Fix a leafy tube as shown in the diagram. Fill the potometer with water. Introduce an air bubble into the horizontal graduated capillary tube and mark it. Keep the setup for some time. The leafy tube absorbs water from the beaker and transpires it out. As transpiration proceeds, the air bubble moves from the initial point to a certain distance. Note the distance by which the air bubble moves. The distance indicates the amount of water lost from the plant. Thus, the reading on the capillary tube would give the volume of water lost in a given time. How can we introduce the air bubble into the capillary tube? It can be done by dipping the horizontal graduated capillary tube into the beaker containing water. Repeat the experiment by keeping the setup in different climatic conditions, such as at the room temperature, outside temperature, or in a laboratory condition or very cold condition. Then you will get the different readings. The most important point on the use of potometer is that it does not measure the water lost during transpiration, but measures the water uptake by the cut shoot. Because some of the water is used by the plant cells to carry out other processes such as manufacture of food or any other things. So we cannot measure the water lost during transpiration. We can measure only the water uptake by the cut shoot. Precautions to be taken while using a potometer to measure the rate of transpiration. The setup should be completely airtight. The tube must be cut obliquely in order to allow large surface area for the intake of water. The tube should be cut under water to avoid suction of air bubble into the tube, which will stop the absorption of water. Here are the limitations in the use of potometer. First one, introducing the air bubble is not very easy. We are using only a leafy tube in the potometer, so the tube may not remain fully alive for a long time. Any change in the outside air temperature may affect the position of the air bubble in the capillary tube. The limitations in the use of potometer is very important. In every question paper you can see one or two questions about these limitations and potometer. Next is the kinds of transpiration. Transpiration from the aerial parts of the plant occurs from the three different regions: through the stomata, through the cuticle, and through the lenticles. First one is the stomatal transpiration. Transpiration takes place through the stomata of the leaves and the young stem. Second one is the cuticular transpiration. The transpiration that takes place directly from the surface of the leaf. You know, on the surface of the leaf and the stem there is an outer covering that is called cuticle. The transpiration takes place from the outer surface. Then the lenticular transpiration. The transpiration takes place through the lenticels present on the surface of the old stem. Lenticels are the tiny pores on the surface of the old stem. Transpiration takes place through the lenticels. These lenticels are seen only on the outer surface of the older stems. The major part of the transpiration occurs through the stomata, whereas the other two types of transpiration contribute very little. You can study the 3 types of transpiration in detail in the next class. That's all for today. Do these activities at home. Draw all the diagrams in the notebook. Read the lesson well. Study the portions taken in this session. Thank you.